This is Michael Jacob with another round of Restricted videos. This week I'll be playing black-green mid-range in Modern, something I've had quite a bit of success with on my stream. And I'm going to be going over some of the card choices here. Tarmogoyf, because he's awesome as a 4-of, he's greatest in these Thoughtseize decks. Dark Confidant, also typical in these, and as well as the 7, it's either 6 or 7 is the generally accepted 1-drop hand disruption spells. And we're maxing on Inquisition instead of Thoughtseize because most of the Moderns are pretty fast format, and the 2 life loss is actually pretty relevant against a lot of decks. So, and then 3 Scavenging Oozes because he's one of the best people against Tarmogoyf, and there's a lot of graveyard-based combo decks that Scavenging Ooze excels against, and against Snapcaster Mage, which is something that you need against. Abrupt Decay is great against Pyromancer Ascension. I think basically the only thing it doesn't kill is Birthing Pod. But it's great against almost every deck. It kills Liliana, especially in the mirror match. Kills Tarmogoyf, kills, Delver, and kills Detention Sphere. It just kills a lot of things that need to be killed. Cranial Plating. The only thing it doesn't do is Nexus, Blinkmoth Nexus, and Inkmoth Nexus. Those are big problems. Doesn't really kill Edge Champion, but that's okay. And doesn't kill 4 or 5 drops, but there really just aren't that many 4 or 5 drop permanents in Modern. So, outside of lands. So, Courser Proof-Fix, not only is it an enchantment, but it's also another source of card advantage that you can use with your Treetops and Tectonic Edges to really attrition your opponent to death. It's also really good at Dark Confidant, because even if there's land on top, you don't have to do it. You don't have to get rid of it. You can just make it stay on top, so you only take 0 in the following turn. So it's really much better in Kitchen Finks. A huge upgrade, and the fact that it has an enchantment makes your Tarmogoyf just enormous. Maelstrom Pulse, it kills Birthing Pod, which is a pretty big deal. Also kills things like Karn or Oblivion Stone, kills Liliana, kills lots of things, gives you some free wins if you ever hit 2 of the same permanent. It's never really terrible against any of that. I guess against Scapeshift it's terrible, but if they're running the Prismatic Omen version or Primordial Titan, you'll be happy you had them. Just remember, well, this deck definitely needs some 1-drop removal spells, and what Dismember does do, that Lightning Bolt does not, is kill Deceiver Exarch, which is absolutely enormous. It's also going to be cast of Colorless Mana, which is relevant when Twilight Mire and Tectonic Edge are still prevalent in the deck. And, yeah, it can kill Tarmogoyf all the time, too, something that Lightning Bolt doesn't do. So that's pretty good. Liliana in the Veil, because it's one of the things this deck wants to be doing the most. Your draw of Thoughtseize into a Abrupt Decay or 2-drop into Liliana to a 3-drop allows you to be in the driver's seat and start. All you have to do is protect Liliana, and she'll make sure that the opponent is playing on the same level playing field as you are. So, Thrun. Some versions of Green-Black run Phyrexian Obliterator. It's really hard to cast that guy with a deck, and I think that Tectonic Edge might actually be better than Phyrexian Obliterator, and I understand that they're not competing for the same slot, but if you play Tectonic Edge, it's really hard to play Phyrexian Obliterator. So, by playing Tectonic Edge, it allows you to have some advantage in the Tron matchups or the Blue-Eye Control matchups to kill Celestial Colonnade that'll, attack your Lilianas. It's also really good against the Snapcaster Path to Exile decks. So, you need a guy that doesn't just die. It's something that can actually, or Vedalken Shackles is a good example of something that you need to kill. It's not great. It's not stupendous. It could be a lot of things, but right now it's Thrun. And then Slaughter Pact. I endorse having 1 Slaughter Pact in every deck that wants to kill creatures. It's something that's really hard to play around. The Deceiver Exarch Splinter Twin deck runs Remand and does primary, interactive spell, which is ineffective against Slaughter Pact. And it's 0 off Dark Confidant. It can really throw somebody's Combat Math off with a Tarmogoyf and make it, or Scavenging Ooze, make it much larger than it seems. And yeah. So here, now we're going to go to the lands. We got Treetop Village and Tectonic Edge, your man land attrition lands of choice. To help cast our spells, we've got Twilight Mire and 1 Woodland Cemetery. and 3 Overgrown Tombs. The Woodland Cemetery could be an Overgrown Tomb if you so chose. It's definitely better than the 3rd Twilight Mire. There's already so many colorless sources already. You don't want to have to mulligan because of that. And Urborg is a similar state to Twilight Mire. It allows you to get double black, but also allows you to painlessly use your fetch lands. So, and then there's 6 fetch lands. Nothing really, and one forest and 2 swamps. Nothing great there. Nothing stupendous to see. So we have Grafdigger's Cage for any sort of Birthing Pod deck. So this is one of the better cards against them. It's really, really easy to pick apart their hand or remove their Castelia Primages or their ways of stopping your Grafdigger's Cage from really wrecking them. The 4th Thoughtseize comes in against decks that are not trying to play in the same level playing field as you. We're talking Tron, we're talking Pyromancer Ascension. Sometimes the Mirror Match, and definitely against some sort of blue-white control deck, or blue-white-red control deck. These are Thoughtseize is what you're looking for. But all you have to do is just remove their way to stop your Liliana, or your Courser, or your Dark Confidant, or even your Tarmogoyf, and you'll run them over. Pagari Charm, online there's a lot of young Pyromancer decks, and young Pagari Charm is also really good, effective against Pyromancer Ascension. It can be good against a blue-red Splinter Twin that's trying to tempo you out, that has Mendelian Clicks and Pestermites. Because it also kills, Splinter Twin, or it kills the Flyers. And it could be good against in the Mirror Match. It does kill Courser, it does kill Dark Confidant, it could save your creatures from an Abrupt Decay or Slaughter Pact, because you can regenerate from those. It's also decent against Affinity, because they have a ton of 1-toughness artifact creatures. And then we have Back to Nature. This is specifically for the Boggles matchup. It could be anything. In fact, it should probably just be Engineering Explosives instead. One of the reasons why Engineering Explosive isn't that great against Boggles is nowadays they've been starting to run Force Suppression Fields in their deck, making it nearly impossible to use Engineering Explosives in a timely manner. It also really hurts your Lilianas too. But this is more of an online thing. You definitely don't have to do it yourself in your real life. Engineering Explosives would certainly, help against Affinity, which is you definitely need the help against, because Creeping Corrosion, there's 3 of those. The Affinity matchup's awful. It's truly terrible. And Creeping Corrosion, you're gonna have to you have to mean business, otherwise you're not gonna beat them. Oftentimes, I've lost many times, even after casting Creeping Corrosion, especially if they know that you have it, and they end up just moving in on an Enigmatic Nexus as like a 3/3 or a 4/4. You're actually drawn pretty slim to that, because your Abrupt Decays and your Maelstrom Pulses don't kill it. You're basically out in 2 Dismembers and 1 Slaughter Pact. As long as you don't play a 4th land, you can't deck edge it. Definitely a weakness that maybe needs to be plugged in a future date. Batterskull and Kitchen Finks are for matchups where Thrun is not great, where you don't need just like a random 4/4 that doesn't do anything. It's also for the burn matchup, which is miserable. It's also pretty prevalent online. There's like a blue-red Delver deck that's sort of like burn based with Snapcaster Mage, Delver, Young Pyromancer. And there's another one that's just mono red burn in many different varieties. And there's also some Nacatl decks. And these are basically the 2 best cards against them. So we have Drawn in Sorrow. Again, this is more of a Magic Online thing. There's a lot of Young Pyromancer decks that you need to kill. And that's just the best card against them. It can be used against Affinity. It can be used against a variety of creature decks, perhaps even Birthing Pod. They definitely have a lot of bitty critters. It's kind of a limited in scope card, so definitely something to keep in mind for your local metagame if you're going to play it yourself. And then Fulminator Mage, against the decks that are not... You need something to take all your removal spells out against decks that don't have creatures. We have Abrupt Decays, we have Maelstrom Pulses, we have Dismember, we have Slaughter Pact, we have so many, and sometimes even Liliana Veil is not that great. And so you need something to bring in for these guys, so you need some sort of win conditions, and Fulminator Mages can be a win condition, it could also be a disruption spell. Batterskull and Kitchen Finks kind of go in the same manner. So Fulminator Mage fills a lot of slots, and I would recommend always having at least 3, because otherwise you're never beating decks like Tron without them. So there we go.